All right. Welcome, everybody. I'm really happy to be here today to share about our whole life transformation with you. And I think whoever invited you here must really love you because when those of us who are living this lifestyle, we're so passionate about it that we really do care about people. And when we reach out to invite them to these Zooms, it's because we really do love you and we want you to know about something that has been so monumental in transforming our own lives. So let's dive in. Um, and I want to honor your time. So we're gonna try to keep it under half an hour and just keep it really packed and dense with a great experience, not so much information, but for you to just have a journey and an experience connecting with what we have here. So, what exactly is a whole life transformation? I mean, what does that even mean? Like, what does it mean to be on the Purium lifestyle? And if you are and you want to share in the chat, that would be awesome. Um, but I want to also bring up this idea that would anybody oh, there's a whole huge waiting room of people coming. Okay. Does anybody ever sometimes have resistance when they hear the word whole life transformation? Does anybody think like, gosh, I don't want to do a huge transformation. That sounds like a lot of effort, a lot of work. I'm comfortable where I'm at. I don't, let alone a whole life transformation. I mean, sheesh, like I have a pretty good life. I'm not trying to change everything in my whole life, right? So, just let me know in the chat if anybody ever like has those thoughts when you hear the word whole life transformation. Does it bring up resistance or just kind of a feeling like I don't need a whole life transformation? That sounds a little extreme. There might be things that I'm looking to change here and there, but what does that even mean? Curiosity, bit unsettling, good. Um, of course, yes, we're human. I love that. Um, so we're here to explore this. This is really going to be an interactive participatory journey, which is going to be unlike other Zooms. If you really want to learn more about all the nitty gritties of the details, you're going to ask the person who shared this with you to find out more about the specific areas that you want to learn. And here we're going to kind of co-create an experience of discovering this whole life transformation and presenting it to you in a way that really conveys the holistic approach of this lifestyle. Um, so if you've had any of those feelings that I mentioned, I totally get it. I've been the same. I think that's really common for most of us. We're all just trying to get by in this crazy world. And most of us can't really fathom like this whole life overhaul. And then maybe think like, my life is pretty good. There's things I don't want to change. I've had people say, well, I don't actually want to give up these foods. So like, I don't want to do what you're doing if it means that, or I don't want to, be different than my friends. So I might not be interested in that. So if you've had any of those feelings or thoughts, I just want to welcome you and just say we've all had them and let's explore that. So, what a whole life transformation actually does and how it serves us in our life is that it closes a gap. So, on the one hand, we have like where our life is right now, a snapshot of where our life is. And if anybody could, if people could just fill the chat with just kind of like a snapshot of it could be aspects of your life that you appreciate, it could be aspects of your life that you want to change, but just kind of taking inventory of like your health and your home situation and your relationships and your financial reality and your relationship with self-care and your relationship with passion projects and expression, your relationship with fitness and movement, your relationship with service or travel, or just kind of dropping in the chat like what are some maybe just images, maybe like a one word kind of snapshot ideas of like where your life is now and really thinking in juxtaposition to where you want it to be. So when I say we talk a lot about closing a gap. We look at where's my life now and get really accurate and clear and authentic with ourselves about what that is without any kind of judgment or shame or guilt or any of that, but just to really take authentic, genuine inventory of that. And then look at, where do we want to be? Where do we feel called? Where do we feel led to be? What does feel like, if this were my life, it feels like it would be a little bit more in alignment with what I came to this earth to do. It feels like it would be a little bit more congruent with, the joy of my heart. It feels like I would be a little bit more of, a participant in my family or in my community or in my, whatever network that you're in. Um, so somebody's saying less debt and more abundance, right? So having more of that like flexibility, that fluidity to participate in the commerce game and in the currency, right? I love that it's called currency. It's like keep it current, keep it moving, and we get to play in that ocean with money, more ease at making money, freedom, right? So these are some of the ways that we're closing the gap and creating that with the whole life transformation. And the reason that it's a whole life transformation is that it's a very holistic approach. Some people can look at what we have to share here. And what we are sharing is partnering with a company called Purium, which produces the most pure and premium superfoods that any of us have found so far. You're welcome to challenge us on that. But grown in regenerative soil, deeply mineralized, nutrient rich, vine ripened, way beyond organic, super pure, and low temperature dehydrated. So nutrient dense and just packed with nutrients and enzymes delivered right to your door in home compostable packaging. So there's this incredible product that goes in and saturates your cells and gently detoxes and reverses all kinds of health issues. We have thousands and thousands of testimonials of what people have been able to do with these products. So that's kind of like the kernel of what we work with, this company that produces this incredible food and herbs that come, delivered right to our homes and that we can share with people far, far away from us. We have this incredible leverage. That's kind of the kernel of what we have. And a lot of times people will talk about like, so here's the food and here's the lifestyle that comes with bringing this food into your life. And people can drop in the chat here things you've experienced bringing these superfoods into your life, the different health changes that have happened. The superfoods combined with whole foods. And then some people will talk about the fact that there's an income stream that's connected to this. And what I really want to share on this Zoom is how it's really more of this holistic experience. Because what happens for the person who comes in with the product as a customer, often, and not always, but often, if somebody's just a customer, they are consumed with all of the demands of life. And our general pattern conditioning in our society, drop a 2 if you can relate, is to put our health on the back burner and prioritize what? Money, finances, job. That has typically been the pattern of what catches our attention the most, because we're just living in a society that's a little bit hamster wheel, where a lot of people are just living paycheck to paycheck, just trying to figure out how to get ahead, let alone expand into philanthropy or building out big projects or being community pillars or something like that. So a lot of times finances becomes the greatest tug and pull on our reality, right? So I'm seeing some 2s in the chat. You can relate to that, whether it's for yourself or you're seeing that in other people. So what happens for a customer who just comes in and is taking care of their own health? And we have a incredible customer line. Absolutely. You can come in, and if you are hungry for health transformation, you can grab hold of that ultimate lifestyle transformation box, which is full of superfoods and herbs. And you can just start to really watch your whole biochemistry change by saturating your cells with this nutrition and detoxing and removing things that don't belong in the body anymore. And you can have an amazing experience. However, if you're the distracted person, which is often the case because a lot of people are quote busy and choose convenience and don't necessarily have the time to maybe read all of the information that comes in the box or come to Zooms where you can learn more. That customer may not have the full experience. And drop a 3 in the comments if you've been that person or if you've worked with somebody like that who just, they put the money in, they built up the value, they understood, wow, this is really going to be something, but then they didn't do their part because life consumed them. So when we come in with the whole life transformation, we now get to center and prioritize. It's built in that we prioritize doing everything we can to have the best ultimate lifestyle transformation possible. And when I say that, what I mean is this health transformation. We are now part of saying, I'm not just doing this for myself, I'm doing it for all of the people I'm bringing with me. I'm a way shower. I'm going to take the lead and I'm going to bring people along. I'm going to talk about what I'm doing. I'm going to invite people to learn more. And what this does is it builds in accountability for our own health journey. Drop a 4 in the comments if you've ever been someone who has really noticed I'm taking better care of my health because I'm sharing this with other people, because I have other people that I've brought along and I want to be the example for them, or they're doing it, so I better make sure that I'm keeping up. So it is this incredible community experience to be part of it. So we can actually increase our health benefits by being part of the community. We're now invested in being on those Zooms where we're now learning not just what time of day should I take this product or what are the ingredients in this or that, but I'm learning things like, what about food combining? What about all the different whole foods that I'm adding in? What about all these different recipes? What about inflammation and acidic foods and alkaline foods? And I'm starting to learn all these things that are empowering me to really grab hold of this health journey and make it last long into my lifetime, not just be like a one-time thing where I just kind of try it out and maybe I experienced some things, but didn't really fully commit. To really adopt the Purium lifestyle is to weave it into everything we're doing. And it's gentle and it's gradual and it's easy and it's affordable and it's convenient. So it's something that we can definitely effectively say works. And it is not like I had talked about earlier in the call where we can have that resistance of like, I don't want a whole life transformation. That sounds really extreme. What if that whole life transformation came through gently? What if it came through slowly, gradually, at a pace that you can keep up with, that doesn't blast out your nervous system or something like that? How does that sound? Drop a word in the comments of like what came up for you when you heard about that kind of transformation. And something that was really meaningful for me when I learned about this is that it isn't about taking away or elimination or depriving ourselves of anything. It's about adding into. It's about giving to ourselves. And when we get what we need, when we really receive and take that in, our body then now knows, it signals to let go of what it doesn't need. So this was a huge piece for me to say yes to this. I didn't want a program that was strict or deprivation based or anything like that. I didn't want to go hungry. I wanted to be held and fed and nurtured and nourished. And that's exactly what this program does. And then safely, gently move stuff out of us that we've probably accumulated our whole lives, and that we get to just slowly release as time goes on, as we start to regenerate and rebuild and become this cellularly a different person over time. So our tissues, our organs, our cells are changing gradually. Our biochemistry, our taste buds, our cravings, everything is shifting and moving towards reclaiming this body that we're giving. This is such a gift, right? We only get one. We don't get to trade it in. This is it. And so we are given these tools to take just optimal care of this vessel. And it's such a great feeling to then go from, and I can speak for myself, I grew up with tons of toxicity. I grew up with tons of bad habits, which led to tons of skin issues and digestive issues and um, mood issues and joint pain and all the little things that we sort of get accustomed to and think like this is just life. And actually when we start to eliminate all of that and just give ourselves these building blocks that then give the body what it needs to rebuild, we suddenly get to reclaim this house, this temple, as what it was meant to be, which is a very light and strong experience, to be in our bodies, full of energy, full of life, full of, I remember going from feeling very sluggish and kind of mild depression and, hard to get out of bed in the morning, to like springing out of bed with joy in my heart and full of energy and full of life, and started to get athletic for the first time in my life, and cleared up, a whole decades and decades of digestive issues and skin issues. And so it feels amazing to have that. And of course, we want to share it with other people, and the company wants to reward us. But let's talk about the financial piece a little bit, because it isn't just, like I said, we're not talking about compartmentalizing it. Like over here, we have the health, and over here, we have the wealth. It's this holistic experience where when we choose to say yes to sharing it with people, we're actually going to have a better health experience. The people who say, I'm going to do this alone versus, okay, I'm going to do it with a group of people. I'm going to talk to the people I know and say, who wants to do this with me? Who wants to be my accountability buddy? Let's go the journey together. And that was me. I just reached out to a bunch of people, said, I'm doing this thing. I've never tried it. Had those people around me doing it together, I had a better health experience. I was more all in. I was paying more attention to what was happening in my body. I was paying more attention to learning more externally about everything. And then we're getting rewarded. We start to see our finances transform. Now, what are finances all about? Well, it's not just money. If you do it for the money, it won't work. I remember seeing somebody very prominent say that at the beginning of my journey. And by the way, if I haven't named, my name is Christina Amon, and I've been doing this going on 9 years here with this company, Purium. And I remember at the beginning of my journey saying, if you do it for the money, it won't work. It has to be for something bigger than you. And this is where we get into that life that I talked about on the other side of the gap. And again, keep dropping in the comments what that looks like, the power of naming that, the specificity, the feeling in your body of what that life looked like. For me, it was getting my husband back from his 80-hour work week. It was not having a stressful life. It was having some financial stability and security and even overflow to play with, to feel like we had some freedom and we had the ability to develop a farm. That was really our biggest vision, and still is. And really center our family at the center of our life versus other pulls on our life from other sources. So we've really been able to reclaim that and center our family, center our marriage, center our farm. And then from there, play and travel and explore and serve and give to others from that place. So really been able to close that gap of where we were to where we want to be. And that's what's available here. And we do it in community because it's not just a transactional thing, this business, this idea of a business. This is becoming the person that you were always meant to be. This isn't starting some whole new thing. And who here has ever had that thought, like, I can't possibly start a whole new thing. I've got all these different things going on in my life. I've got so many irons in the fire. I've already been spending years doing all these other things. How would it feel if you got to bring all of that online? And that got to be your quote business. That got to be your whole life transformation. Because guess what? Every single one of those connections and relationships that you have forged throughout your life is part of the mycelial network that becomes your family, that becomes part of your conversation while you're here. And every skill, every talent, every, you know, leadership, you know, rank or whatever that you've developed in your life, all of that gets applied here. And that is an extraordinary feeling to feel like this full consolidation of everything that you've ever done is applicable here. I would say everything you've done that's good. I mean, maybe there's things we've done that we can all leave in the past, but everything that is really worth pursuing and bringing online, you get to bring that online to become this leader as we develop our voice. And one of the things I mentioned in the flyer for this call is that this is physical, financial, and relationship health. Why did I put relationship health? Are we talking about like saving our marriages here? Well, yes, I would say that's definitely part of my story, but it wasn't like a direct one-to-one correlation. But a huge part of the way that we do what we do here is relationship, is how we listen, how we ask questions, how we care about another person's journey, how we how we have full presence with them and put interest in what they're going through above our own agenda, how we communicate, and how we build trust. We learn all of these skills, authentic, sincerely, genuinely. And that's why I mean we develop relationship health, because guess what? That's going to ripple out not just to our business relationships, but it's going to ripple out to everywhere, our family relationships, our wherever. And really any person in any community is part of what we're doing here. We're either sharing with somebody and witnessing about what we've experienced, what somebody else has experienced, or we're taking time to listen and engage and really hold space for them, no matter who they are and no matter the outcome of the conversation. Are you guys tracking with me? Let me know if this is landing. I've definitely gone off script at this point, and I want to honor the time and make sure that I'm covering everything here. The financial piece is significant. The company has offered $6,500 in bonuses to get into the activity of talking to people, of sharing, of getting out of our comfort zone, and bringing people along for the ride within our first several months. Don't worry about these details. You can learn more, like I said, getting deeper. I'm giving you more of this overview of how it all works together holistically. We no longer need to compartmentalize our life. Everything that we're doing can be combined so that we're walking our life completely congruent, who we are, authentically, transparently, and just living freely, taking care of ourselves and inviting other people to learn about what we're doing. How does that sound? Drop a 6 in the comments if that's like, that sounds amazing. And this is done in part-time hours. So a lot of our life is doing what we're most passionate about and really isolating time for the things that matter the most. And a lot of what we're doing when we're in relationships, when we're out in the world, when we're connecting with people, is bringing these same skills, these same listening skills and conversation skills to any conversation that we land in. Anything could lead. And we do it by, as I said, putting the other person before our own. So as I said, there's money to be made at the beginning with these bonuses. And over a long time, just like a farmer working steadily at tilling the soil and fertilizing and pulling out rocks and amending and then planting seeds and watering, mulching, weeding, all the things, over time, we can, with steadfast consistency, commitment, and sticking to it. The only way to fail in this is quitting. We can have an abundant harvest. And when I say abundant, it means that we can work very hard at the beginning and not necessarily see the outcome of that for the work that we're putting in. but also we can with those bonuses if we do it right. And at the end, we can see a tremendous harvest for the very little that we're putting in at that point. And that's the leverage. That's the leveraged income. So there's tons and tons of testimonials of people who have been able to create that kind of success, people who have made it to the top of the company. I myself have done that. I've helped other people do that, and it's available. I didn't come in with anything special. You can hear my whole story in another Zoom. But the way that we all get started is that we get our kit. There's two ways to get started, actually. We get our kit of our superfoods and herbs. We're going to start to take these superfoods and herbs every day, a couple of shakes a day, some amazing amino protein, these incredible herbal capsules, formulations. And we're also going to be eating whole food. And we have guides on how to do that and how to do it best for you. Each person's different. So we're going to customize it for you. The cost of that box is exactly what all you need to invest to start the business. So basically, the business is free with the cost of that box. Now, if you're really ready to take that leap and really invest in the faith of your momentum of bringing people along with you, and you want to see yourself accelerate even faster, you're going to come in with your box, and you're going to come in with 3 more boxes. Now, these are going to be for your first 3 people joining you. They could be a customer or they could be a partner who's sharing as well. And you're going to buy the box, and then you're going to meet them, and you're going to say, hey, I got this box. Do you want to do this thing with me? You'll learn a little bit more specific language and all that. But essentially, you're just sharing. You're excited. You're like, hey, I'm going to do this thing. Do you want to do it with me? They're like, yeah. You're like, great. I got a box. I'm going to share it with you right now. They go home with that box, and together you put in their order, and when they order, a box comes back to you. Now, the 2 investments, the 2 ways to get started, we're either talking just under $385, which is less than $13 a day. Who can even get, and this is covering 2 meals a day, depending on your metabolism. But you're having these 2 shakes, nutrient dense shakes. I'm drinking one right now. So delicious. Who can even get a meal for $13 a day of this kind of organic quality? Like, is that even a thing? Let me know in the comments. So for less than $13 a day, you're getting 2 organic meals, essentially, plus all these other herbs. Most people save money over the whole month on their grocery bill. That's a month-long box. And then the second path, you would be getting 4 of those boxes. That comes out to roughly $1,500. Either way, check this out. This is the crazy thing. Either way, 4 people that you share with, when you share with 4 people, you are covering your investment. So you're into the green as soon as you've shared with 4 people. You don't know who those people are, so you're just going to start to talk to whoever. You're going to create a list that's going to come naturally from who you are genuinely inside you. You get all the training on that, loads and loads of training, so you're not alone in this. And you get to start sharing, and then you start to see the company rewarding you for that, and you get to make back your entire investment. Oftentimes people are doing that in a week, 2 weeks, the first month, and getting into the profit right away, and accelerating through these, like I said, these $6,500 in bonus money, which is all on top of commissions. And that's all at the beginning of your journey. And like I said, this can take you up into really significant income streams. We're talking like the 1% of the country kind of income. So that is really what I want to share with you. I wanted to get some of those kind of like nugget details that land right at the beginning, right at the end there, so you know this is how to really get started. And let's see, yeah, sharing this gift is the best feeling. It really is. It's something that, for those of us who are here, anchored in here, we're really passionate, and our goal, our mission, and this really is a mission-driven company. I think that's something really important. There's a lot of superfoods and supplements out there, most of them, if not all, besides us. No, I'm sure there's a few other uh, high integrity companies, but most of them are profit driven. And the difference is that when you're profit driven and you don't really care whether people get healthy or not, you're putting in fillers. You don't care if there's heavy metals in there. You don't care if they're using plastic. You don't care if the quality is low, that you don't care about the soil quality. You're just looking to cut corners to increase that profit margin. And most of the companies out there have been bought out by big corporations, and that's exactly what they're here to do. So we can be really assured that what we have here is the best of the best. And we all have, you know, a lot of us here have experienced that in our own bodies. And that's why we're bubbling with excitement to share it with you and have your own experience. So that's what I have to share with you today. I'm going to end the recording and then I'm going to open it up for questions. So please get back with the person who shared this with you for more information, answer your questions, to get on a three-way call with a mentor to really dive in and find out your deep goals and how we can best get you started. And thank you so much for coming and your participation in the chat. And now I'm going to,
Thank you.
here we go.
My hair.
I'm going to end the recording.